Hey guys, Elite Legionarii here, bringing you a 3 versus 3 for Rome Total War on the Southwaters map. I'll be playing as Egypt, and my allies are Evroute, who is in command of Macedon, and Knugen, who is in command of the Seleucid Empire. Our opposition will be directly across from Knugen. We have Cry Havoc, who was the Julli Romans. I believe he's way hidden down here, the central guy, somewhere in these woods I think. Here we go. This guy here, Chaldor 1999, he just spammed a crap load of berserkers breaking the rules, so it's going to be interesting. And directly across from me is Tom HW, who is in command of the Greek cities. So we'll start with my army. I decided to make this 20k per player instead of 15, which is what I usually do, so there's a wee bit more money here, so a wee bit more different tsunami builds. So I have, I believe it's 1 unit of slingers, which I'm going to use as a peel screen. I believe I have 2 units of standard Pharaoh's bowmen, not Pharaoh's bowmen, just plain bowmen rather. They are gold. I have, it's kind of hard to tell in this mix, but I think it was 6, it might be 5. I think it was 6 gold Pharaoh's guards, and then I believe it was 4 gold Pharaoh's bowmen. And then I got 6 units maxed out. I'm pretty sure they're maxed out Desert Cav. As you know, these guys have got a really neat armor piercing axe, can be quite devastating on heavy cavalry units. Plus, in my opinion, they're really powerful and reliable. They're not overpowered and unfair like chariots, in my opinion, so that's why I use them. Plus I always seem to screw up with chariots somehow, like with microing them, I mean. Otherwise they're pretty deadly. And then I got a couple of, I believe it was gold attack Nile cavalry just to do encirclements and other bits and pieces. But basically I was going to use my Desert Cav for the cavalry fight and just use a Nile Cav for hammering anvils and whatever else they might come in useful for. So my ally Evroute has several royal pikemen. I believe he had, it's hard to tell, I'm guessing he had at least 6 because it's CWB, and I think they're gold. And he's got, I think he had also about 6 companion cav gold and then some Cretan archers, not really sure on the upgrades there. No, it looks like he's got some light lancers, 3 of those. And then 3 companion cav. I think that was him. It's kind of hard to tell, he's sort of all in the wood, in the trees there, but it's basically what he has. I can't really tell his upgrades. Now over here is Knugen, as I said. He had 1, 2, 3, I think he had 6 silver shield pikes, and they look to be gold. He's got some archers, and I believe he's got some cataphracts over here in the woods. But unfortunately for us, I really wish he'd kind of he should have sort of aimed to get in the woods sooner than the Roman, because as you can see he's going to be at a height disadvantage in that position rather. So I moved my cav out here just to be on the edge there. So this guy had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I think he had about 12 berserkers, I'm not sure, something like that. A stupid army anyway, not to be mean, but it's just a stupid army. He's breaking rules and it can be easily beaten. So this guy, Tom H, had 2 Spartans, and then a lot of, I think they're maxed out. Looks like he's got 6 maxed out hoplites. Interesting choice. 2 armoured hoplites, no upgrades. Some Greek cav, no upgrades. An armoured bodyguard, no upgrade. With maybe 1 or 2 upgrades. A couple of heavy pelters with an upgrade, and a bunch of Cretans with a few upgrades each, although he hasn't put them in loose, so I'm only going to assume that he's a fairly new player, and also I'm going to assume that Evroute was fairly new because he kind of charged his cav into these pikes, so especially light cav, it's not so good. Over here, 2 of these other Spartans have come forward, no upgrades, but won't matter. Spartans will destroy royal pikemen, especially when the royal pikemen is in such a stretched out, thin formation like this, only 3 rows deep. The Spartans should just have not too much trouble pushing through. Although having said that, there is a lot more upgrades on those Spartans. And here, so this is another thing that suggests he's a new player. He runs all these cavs straight through his own pikes and then to another wall of pikes. Interestingly enough, he does actually rout those Spartans. It must just be the upgrades working there, but that's a really costly move for him. He'll lose a lot of cavalry doing so. So over here, I don't know whether it was intentional. I don't think it was. I got the impression that both my allies were fairly inexperienced. I'm not trying to be mean. It just got the impression when I was playing. But because what's happened with these royal pikemen, he's got them so tightly packed and connected with each other, there's no gaps, and of course the Urbans cannot exploit this very easily. Now they will on the flanks obviously, which is where they're winning, but he's dominating the cavalry fight, these Praetorian cav, and these cataphracts getting caught out pretty badly. As you can see, they're routing quite a lot. So as you can see, a lot of dead cataphracts, and still a lot of his cav has survived. So as you see, I mean, Silver Shield pikemen are in every way outclassed by Urban cohorts. There's just no show that they'll ever beat Urbans, but because I think he actually didn't get to throw many Peeler, if I remember correctly. I'm sorry I didn't catch it part of the fight. And because he's so packed, so many men together and fused together like this, the Urbans are actually having more trouble than they otherwise would. I still suspect the Urbans will win this eventually, and particularly when he's got these Praetorian cav helping him. But that's how you want to beat Urbans. You get them as kind of, no gaps or anything like that. Because as you can see, look at here, what they do, they just sort of slink around the sides and into the back, and that's where those units get destroyed. And they can exploit this all across the line because there'll be little gaps in the line, so they can just sort of slip into the gaps and they just destroy pikes that way. When you get no gaps in the line, you can stop the Urbans doing this. Now in this case, I'm sure this guy didn't intentionally do that, but because his lines ended up like this, these Urbans they'll probably still win because the Urbans are so much better than Royal Pikemen and Silver Shield Pikemen, although they are better than Royal Pikemen as well. It'll just be a lot harder for them. And the Greek player comes in to assist, and as you can see, it routes the score over here, and that's pretty much the end of it for the Seleucid player. I don't even see that happen in the fight actually. So over here, basically all I've done is move my Pharaoh's bowman forward and my other bowman, and I'm just targeting these Cretians. As you can see, I knocked a lot of them out, and I believe my ally over here has got himself into a bit of a tussle with these Spartans, and he's doing the same sort of stuff he's doing before, but because of his upgrades, he's actually managing to rout most of these otherwise superior Greek hoplite units, even though he's using some pretty risky tactics. So here the German I basically bait him forward until he loses control of his troops to where I wanted, and then I just shove my pikes down. And against, like, say, Roman units that don't have pikes, berserkers are a real danger. There's the Seleucid general dying. But against, like, non-pike units, berserkers are just deadly. But because they can't reach their opponent, they've got no shield to fend off the pike, which stay just out of range. The punishment's pretty severe for these berserkers, and they're just going to get wasted, and I'm just pouring arrows into them. If you want to kill berserkers, you do it with arrows. And I'm just pouring fire, and as you can see, look, they're just mass routing. So berserkers on their own can be pretty easily beat if you've got the right troops, and these guys couldn't even touch my Pharaoh's guards, and berserkers are way better than Pharaoh's guards, but going straight at them head on is not the way you want to do it. So it looks like the Roman player has quickly rid himself of the Seleucid player. It was a good move to get his pikes all, like I said, without any gaps, because it allowed him to hold those Urbans at bay for quite a while, but he ultimately lost the cavalry fight. And eventually the Roman troops would always win the fight against that, unless there's upgrade differences or better positioning and other mitigating circumstances. So here I pull out, and as you see, there's still a wee bit of micro sluggishness on my part, like I've been talking about several battles, because I just haven't been playing Rome like I was a few months back. So you will see a few mistakes from this from me. I'm sure I will get out of it eventually. It's a bad habit, but apparently because my upgrades and the fact that he wasn't in formation, I'm going to do quite well. And look at that, I actually route that, so that's a bit lucky. So anyway, I'm going to rush forward and just finish off this lot, and I'm going to I've put some of my allies guys along here, my cavalry units, to just keep an eye on these Roman units out here. Because I just don't think that my ally here is very experienced to realise he needs to turn around and face that. So I put myself into pretty thick formations here because I see the amount of upgrades I'm up against. Now, my Pharaoh's guards are better than these standard hoplites, but there are more of them than there's, well about even numbers actually. There's a lot of upgrades there, but if I'm in thick formations like this, I'll actually punch through these much more with stretched formations. So I want to see my cav around the back. So I'm not at my microing best at the moment. Now I will work on that obviously, and I shouldn't suspect it will take me too long if I play Rome enough. It's just I stopped playing Rome for quite a while, as I said. So that's basically my excuse for any poor micro work. So anyway, I'm just going to send these 2 round and basically just sandwich them. I don't think I'll need to, but I want to end it quickly and save numbers.
Only by desire to save his own skin.
So yes, as you can see, I sort of haven't moved these units either, so just that kind of stuff I'd normally be much quicker on. So over here I'm in a little more trouble, but then I get my cav in and it's all over. It should be all over. There are a lot of upgrades on these hoplites, but nonetheless, spending this money on hoplites is probably not the best choice. They're not that great. You better just do it on armoured hoplites. So I'm now preparing to move my men over to deal with the Roman player, and I want to get my pikes back over here quickly because again, my ally is sort of organising himself, but a lot of his units are still sitting here, standing facing the other way. So I suspect he is fairly new as well. With the way he's done things, because he hardly moved his troops the entire fight really, except for a few over here. His upgrades probably really fought off the Greek player more than any sort of brilliant tactics. I'm not trying to be mean to him or anything, we're all new at points, and like I said, my micro is down as well. So anyway, I'm moving my guys over quickly because I want to organise, because there's still a lot of urban cohort here, a pretty decent number of them, and they're still a lot better than anything we've got, but we do have numbers, so we should be able to do it, and I've got a lot of skirmishing capacity, and most of my cav has survived. So I've seen some around here to pick off some of these Roman archers I see hanging around here, and I see some more Praetorian cav, and I want to kill them as well. Now I'm confident my cav can destroy these Praetorian cav pretty quickly, being that my guys are so much better when they're with the amount of upgrades and so much more numbers. They're not so much better than Praetorian cav, but they're good against good likes of Praetorian cav because they've got nail piercing axe, and they're light, and there's just lots of numbers. Although interestingly enough, he does get some samurai gladiators and does rout on my guys, and there is some heavy pelvis here, but I'm just going to push straight out of that and ignore it. So I'm moving up my Pharaoh's guards over here and my other bits and pieces so I can shoot at these Roman archers. And I pulled my other guys that I had around here, I slipped them around this side, and I'm just going to run out the rest of his archers, basically with my mild cavalry and my other 2 desert cav. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to come from this side with these 3 groups, these desert cav and these guys, and I'm going to squish them and use my other cav units to rout the archers basically. So this is going to work nicely. He's going to bring out his other Praetorian cav over here, but I've got my other guys coming from behind, and I've got numbers going, and a mass rout is never too good. So at this point I realise that I can just go bang into the back of these urbans if I pin them on the front here, and there I kill the Roman general. So in a moment you'll see me push my infantry units forward right now. I'm going to bring them forward so I can take these urbans on, then I'll just stomp these guys here. Now these samurai gladiators have quite a few upgrades, but to be honest, gladiators they're good, but I don't particularly think they're worth the value you pay for them really. They're fun, they're kind of a fun unit, but in my opinion they're not really worth it. So I'm going to move up my slingers, because I think he's got Peter left because he didn't get to use his Peter in the fight against the Seleucid player. So I'll be reorganising my line here, my cavalry, and the Macedonian has got a lot of his own cav left, so that's good. So I rush forward here. Apparently I forget my Peter screen, so there's a mistake. But I'm not too concerned. As you can see, he does have Peeler, and I probably do take too many of them, but never mind. He's going to rush into me, and I just want to pin him, and I'm bringing in the rest of my cav here, and I'm just going to basically strike the back of these urbans, and that should be the end of them. They would probably win this fight eventually, but they're pretty tired, and look at the whole lot basically rout. When these guys rout, these guys went straight in and routed as well. So that more or less this fight over. It was a good fight. A few micro mistakes on my part. As I said, I'm not at my top piece with my micro at the moment, but I'm sure I will get there if I play Rome enough, which I'll aim to do. And on that point, I have a lot of Medieval 2 videos as well, and I haven't brought any news for a while. I've been quite focused on Rome, and I will get a couple more Rome up, but there will be a lot of Med 2 coming in, and we'll do a big group of Med 2, because there's probably a good 20 videos there that I hadn't had time to do because my computer had a few problems and I couldn't record with it, and then of course I had a really busy week and I had very little access to the internet, so I just didn't get time to make any videos or put anything up. So that's why there'll be quite a lot of Med 2 coming up. There's still a few more Rome after this one as well, though. Maybe another 4 or 5 or 6, I don't know, it just depends. Like I said, I would like to get to 200 Rome videos before Rome 2 comes out, so that's probably why I'm giving Rome a bit of a focus, because I realise I'm a bit behind my schedule. So basically I'm just running off anything that's left here. There's a few bits and pieces around the field, but it's good to get back into Rome. It's, you know, it's still my favourite Total War game. I still think it's the best. Lots of people disagree with me, and that's completely fine, but I just like it the most. It's my favourite time period. There's lots of diversity, it's got a lot of replayability, although then again all the Total War games have lots of replayability, so, you know, it doesn't particularly matter. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, even after having played this game as long as I have, I still just love playing it. It's such a good game. It's well worth buying, especially if you like ancient history. But anyway, it's a clear victory there, so we come off quite nicely, and I do have quite a lot of kills there. I have 1,618 kills, and I still have 1,000 men left. 799 there for Evroute, and 490 for Knugen. Probably Havoc did nice for his team. He did 1,227. Obviously Chowder, look at that, 13, so that stupid Berserker spam was just stupid. I'm not trying to be mean, it's just you never bother with it. It's just pointless. It's pretty easy to defeat. You know, it's when Berserkers are dangerous when there are other supporting units helping them. If a complete spam Berserkers is a piece of cake, but when they've got proper support from other units, it can be a real nightmare. And Tom HW got 847, so he was pretty impressive too. As you can see there, my Pharaoh's Guards, my General's unit actually got 204, so that's pretty sweet. But they didn't do anything apart from the first two and maybe this one here, they didn't really do anything that great. But they did their job, and that was fine. Pharaoh's Bowmen, they did nice, lots of kills there, very few casualties. Same with the Bowmen. The Desert Cav, they did nice work too, although they did take a few casualties. And Manile Cav actually probably got... Yeah, Manile Cav did pretty well as well. So basically everything performed, and apart from a couple of units standing there, nothing really shined, but there's a couple of units that got some nice high kills, like these Desert Cav here, Manile Cav, did a couple of guards, but everything so just did its part, and that's how I like it. That way it's distributed nicely. But anyway, good game to Evroute. Knugen, I'm not quite sure if I'm saying your name right. Cry Havoc, Shelter 1999, do try to follow the rules in the future. If you don't know, do ask. And Tom HW, good game to you 5, and thank you for playing, and thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you soon next time.